In this video, we will look at dividing a whole number by a decimal using base 10 pieces. The focus of this standard is using models, drawings, and strategies based on place value to compute problems. Here we will look at dividing 3 by 75 hundredths. Before we begin to solve, it's helpful to think about a reasonable solution. Here, students may recognize that 75 hundredths is close to 1 whole, and if we had 3 divided by 1, our quotient would be 3. Students may recognize then that our answer will be close to 3, and some students may even take that a step further and recognize that since we are actually dividing by a number that is less than 1 whole, our quotient will be close to 3 but more than 3, since we'll be able to make more than 3 groups of 75 hundredths. So to begin to solve, we will start by modeling our dividend. So I'm going to show 3 wholes. And now what we need to find is how many groups of 75 hundredths there are in these 3 wholes. It's hard to see groups of 75 hundredths with our 3 wholes shown the way they are here, so we're going to do some ungrouping to help us solve. We know that in 1 whole there are 10 tenths, and so by exchanging each of these wholes for 10 tenths, by ungrouping them, we will be able to start to solve and figure out our quotient here. So I'm going to ungroup the first whole for 10 tenths. And I'll do the same with the second one. And the third one as well. So we've ungrouped each of the 3 wholes for 10 tenths. So we now have a total of 30 tenths. Now we would be able to start to make groups of 75 hundredths. We could group 7 tenths, so 2, 4, 6, 7. But I know that I also need 5 hundredths because I'm making groups of 75 hundredths. So what I would do next is take one of these tenths, and I know that if I ungroup that tenth for 10 hundredths, I would be able to start to make groups of 75 hundredths. So I'm going to ungroup this tenth for 10 hundredths. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And now I know I need 5 of those to make this first group of 75 hundredths. So 2, 4, 5. So what I have here is one group of 75 hundredths. And I see that I have plenty more to work with, so I can make more groups of 75 hundredths. So let's start the next one. We'll need 7 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll also need 5 hundredths to make the 75 hundredths. So 2, 4, 5. And those were left over from the tenth that I have already ungrouped. So now I see I have 2 groups of 75 hundredths, but I see I have more and I can keep going. So let's see, let's get 7 tenths. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a group of 7 tenths. However, we know we need the 5 hundredths for that as well. So I'm going to take one of these tenths we have here and ungroup that for 10 hundredths. So I'm going to take this tenth and ungroup it for 10 hundredths. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's 10 hundredths. I need 5 of those to make this group of 75 hundredths. So 2, 4, 5. So now I have a third group of 75 hundredths. And let's see what we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 tenths. And I have 5 hundredths left for that group as well. So I can see I can make another group of 75 hundredths there. Oops. And so what this shows me is that we were able to make 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 75 hundredths out of the 3 wholes. So that tells us the quotient is 4. And 4 is a reasonable answer based on what we thought about in the beginning. We recognize that our answer would be close to 3, but more than 3. And so 4 is definitely very reasonable. And again, this is how we can divide a whole number by a decimal number using base 10 pieces.